All right. Good evening, everybody. I would like to call to order the Tuesday, October 24th, 2017 Gardner, Kansas Planning Commission meeting to order. If everyone will please rise and state the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now move into roll call, starting on my right.
Freeman here.
Roberts here. Mater here.
Austin here.
Brady here.
Quorum is present. Moving into the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the Planning Commission for study. These items are considered to be routine and will be enacted upon by one motion with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item from either the Planning Commission or from the floor, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. Is there any item any member of the commission would like to have removed from the consent agenda?
No.
Any item any member of the public would like to have removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion made by Freeman with a second by Austin that we approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries with all in favor. Moving into the regular agenda. Item number 1, Airport Hangar Site Plan, SP-17-11. Consider a site plan for a 1,440 square foot expansion of the VAA chapter hangar located at the Gardner Municipal Airport at 31905 West 175th Street. Ron Sipple, a VAA Chapter 16 applicant, City of Gardner, property owner of record. We have staff presentation this evening.
Good evening, Commissioners. Kelly Drake Woodward, Chief Planner. So tonight we're here to consider an improvement to the best little airport in Kansas. That is what it says. So the applicant requests approval of a site plan for a 1,440 square feet addition to a 2,880 square feet hangar located on Lot 1 of the Gardner Municipal Airport. The addition is for storage use. An existing deck on the southwest corner of the building will be relocated further south. A flagpole will be removed with 2 new flagpoles to be installed on a concrete pad in the existing detention basin. So here you see that the Gardner Municipal Airport is located on the west side of the city of Gardner, adjacent to 175th Street. Access to the building is via a paved area that surrounds the adjacent hangar to the east. The EAA VAA 16 organization leases a hangar from the city. I know that's not what they call themselves. They have a shorter name for that. But according to the lease, they are leasing it to have a shop to restore, teach restoration, and display vintage aircraft. And the star indicates the location of the new addition, and you can see the various infrastructure already in place at the site. So they haven't planned any exterior connection changes to infrastructure, just within the building, extending utilities. This is a picture taken from driveway to the east where you would access the property, showing the existing east facade. You can see the existing detention basin in the front setback area, and also the proposed elevation drawings. We're going to add some pedestrian doors on that side. This is the existing landscaping. And there is the location of the vehicular access on the east side of the building. And that's a picture of it. So this is coming into the south side of the building there. Existing south facade with the elevation drawing of the proposed addition. This is looking to the east, at the back of the hangar that's adjacent to it to the east, and the drainage culvert that's already there. This is the deck that they're going to relocate to make way for the addition. This is a proposed west elevation from the driveway of the adjacent hangar facility to the west. So it won't look too different, except it'll be lower with addition of a window too. Another view of the detention basin in the west facade. And this is the north facade from across the street with a view of the proposed elevation with the addition. And that's a visualization of that addition. So it's an agriculture district, aviation facility use. It's a small civic building type with a neighborhood yard frontage type. So that's how we evaluated it. The project area is 2484 square feet, shown in the dark shaded area. I'm going to relocate the deck something like that. This is the addition and the new landscaping. It's a 3.7% increase in impervious surface, and no sanitary sewer or sidewalks are triggered at this time. This shows our existing airport layout plan that is being revised, and the revised version is being reviewed. This plan doesn't show the building on the airport layout plan, but I just drew the blue square in there approximately where the building is, so you get an idea of where it is in this airport layout plan. So that will all need to go to FAA, to make sure that there's no obstructions. But the building is set back further than the other existing hangars, and the addition is obviously lower than the existing building, which was approved, so we don't really anticipate any problems there. So staff recommends approval of SP 1711, a site plan dated October 16th, 2017 for an addition to the existing hangar located at 31905 West 175th Street with one condition. And so they met all the conditions necessary. So unless there's questions, I guess.
Do we have the applicant with us this evening? Anything to present? If so, approach the podium, state your name and address for the public record.
No, I think Kelly did a great job.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Okay, great, thank you. Commissioners, questions, comments? We do have the applicant with us for anything you might like to ask them. Okay, if we don't have any discussion or questions, I would entertain a motion on item number 1.
I move that after review of application SP-17-11, a site plan for an addition to the EAA-BAA-16 hangar located at 31905 West 175th Street, and plans dated October 16, 2017, and staff report dated October 24, 2017. The Planning Commission approves the application after finding all applicable requirements have been met, provided the following condition is met. Project shall meet the requirements of Title 14 of the Code of Federal Regulations, 14 CFR Part 77, and shall be submitted through the FAA Obstructive Evaluation Airport Aerospace Analysis web portal and receive a finding of no objection.
Second.
We have a motion made by Austin with a second by Freeman that after review of application SP-17-11, a site plan for an addition to the EAA-VAA-16 hangar located at 31905 West 175th Street and plans dated October 16, 2017, and staff report dated October 24, 2017, the Planning Commission approves the application after finding all applicable requirements have been met, provided the following condition is met. Item 1, the project shall meet the requirements of Title 14 of the Code of Federal Regulations 14 CFR Part 77 and shall be submitted through the FAA Obstruction Evaluation Airport Airspace Analysis web portal at, there's the web address, and receive a finding of no objection. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries with all in favor. Thank you. Moving on to item number 2. Bethel Estates of Gardner Phase 4 and 5, located north of 301 West Madison Street, across West Madison Street from Bethel Estates. Aaron Gaspers of CFS Engineers applicant, RKF Investments LLC property owner of record. We're going to hear a presentation first of items A and B, which item A is Z-17-01, PDP-17-02. Hold a public hearing and consider a rezoning and associated preliminary development plan for 7.84 acres from R1 Single Family Residential to RP3 Planned Garden Apartment for the development of garden apartments. And we will also hear item B with this first portion of presentation, PP-17-06. Consider a preliminary plat for Bethel Estates of Gardner, number 4 and 5, a 7.84 acre multi-family development plan. So with that, Michelle, I will give you the floor for a staff presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Chairman. Ms. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, my name is Michelle Cricks, planner with the City of Gardner, and this evening we'll be discussing zoning case 1701, a preliminary development plan case 1702, a preliminary plat case 1706, a final development plan case 1703, and a final plat case 1705, all for Bethel Estates located north of Madison Street, located between Poplar and Center Street. This project is for the completion of Bethel Estates, currently a multifamily senior living development located adjacent to Madison Street just on the south side. In 2005, the project was approved for a rezoning from an agricultural zoning designation to R1, which is a single-family residential, RP3, a planned garden apartment district, and a preliminary plat for Bethel Estates for both the north and south side of Madison Street. On the south side of Madison, currently, there is a combination of garden-style apartments and single-family residential, which has been built out. However, on the north side of Madison, it was originally preliminarily planned for single-family residential, which is currently up on your screen. You can see that highlighted in the blue portion. However, no further plans for the development were received by the city, and that site is currently vacant. So just to go over what the site currently looks like, this is a view from Langsfield Street to the east, which currently terminates at the east property line. So you can see where this is vacant land, no other use for it, no agricultural use noted on that site. Here's a view from Madison Street. There's a little turn-in area along Madison, and this is from where this photograph is taken. So again, you can see it's undeveloped property. We've got some scrub trees in there, and further along you can see the single-family residential fountain gate along that north property line. And then this is a view from Oak Street within Fountain Gate that terminates at the north property line. And you can see then, again, the vacant property, the overhead power lines running along Madison Street, and then the Bethel Estates, the garden apartment senior facility just on the south side. So currently, the property in question is surrounded by both single-family residential to the north, west, and east, and RP3, which is the planned garden apartment zoning district to the south side across Madison. So you see with the slide in front of you, all of the area in the light yellow is zoned R1 or single family residential. That orange area just on the south side of Madison is RP3, which is currently the Bethel Estates that is there. The site is currently zoned R1, and it was approved in 2005, which supported the previously planned use of single-family residential. However, the single-family residential has been reconsidered and is now proposing a garden apartment building type, which is not allowed in the R1 zoning district as currently zoned. Therefore, the applicant is requesting to rezone the property, which is highlighted in blue on your screen, from R1 to RP3, the planned garden apartment district. Under the Gardner Land Development Code, this zoning district offers the opportunity for several residential building types besides the garden apartment building type. It also includes single-family residential, duplexes, and row homes. The Gardner Land Development Code has defined garden apartments as to, quote, provide residential living in a high-density pattern as a transition between neighborhoods and more intense uses, where a high level of accessibility, public amenity, and supportive services are immediately available. However, the City of Gardner Comprehensive Plan land use map has designated the site for low-density residential, which does not comply with the proposed garden apartments for this property. And on your screen, that is on the left, you can see where I've clipped out a portion of the land use map. You can see the medium-density residential to the south of Madison Street, where the current Bethel Estates are, and the low-density residential surrounding it. Further, the comprehensive plan has also designated this area for contemporary housing stock, which is a more modern housing stock to include a mix of single-family and to multifamily structures, which are generally well-maintained and provide middle-market housing within the city. The garden apartments proposed by the applicant comply with this section of the comprehensive plan by diversifying the housing stock in the city and supporting adopted policies of the city. So on the screen on the in front of you on the right side is a portion of the residential area plan showing the contemporary, that whole area is to be planned for contemporary housing stock. Because the zoning request is for a planned district, the Planning Commission can approve departures from certain standards relating to the project. In this case, the Planning Commission will need to consider departure from the active open space requirement for garden apartment building type proposed by the applicant. The plan shows a proposed pedestrian trail around the site, which is about a 5-foot sidewalk with 3 feet of landscaping and green space on either side. Additional active open space has been provided by the applicant as a gathering area located between buildings 9 and 10, which include seating and enhanced landscaping. On the plan in front of you, I've shown a copy of their active open space plan, and highlighted in green we'll get to where those are the parts of the path where staff believes complies with the active open space. It's staff's opinion that some of the pedestrian connections proposed does not meet the intent of the active open space because those connections are needed from parking to front entries. And staff has calculated the application falls short of the required 10% active open space for the garden apartment type. In all, the applicant has provided a large gathering area, internal pedestrian connections, and connections to the public sidewalk, and staff is supportive of the reduced active open space provided. Staff has stipulated, however, that additional pedestrian connections from building 9 and 1 will be needed to the public sidewalk. It also has been noted in the staff report that there is an error with the stipulation, as it reads from buildings 1 and 2, which is incorrect. Staff is requesting the Planning Commission amend the stipulation to read, quote, additional pedestrian connections shall be provided from buildings 1 and 9 to the sidewalk along the north side of Madison Street on the preliminary development plan. On the preliminary development plan and the preliminary plat, the applicant is proposing a total of 12 6-unit garden apartments on 7.84 acres on 3 lots for a total of 72 dwelling units, proposed to be a senior living development. The dwelling units are to be single-story structures, with each unit having a private entrance, similar to the existing Bethel Estates located on the south side of Madison Street. Included in the preliminary development plan is a completion of Oak Street from the Fountain Gate subdivision from on the north down to Madison Street, which provide the access into the Bethel Estates. The applicant has also provided pedestrian connection across Madison Street with a pedestrian refuge island in the middle, so pedestrians can cross Madison Street to the 10-foot bike hike trail on the south side. So I'm going to stop here and just with staff recommendation. So staff recommends the Planning Commission forward a recommendation of approval to the governing body, cases Z-1701, a rezoning from R1 Single Family Residential District to RP3 Planned Garden Apartment District, and case PDP-1702, a preliminary development plan for Bethel Estates, Phase 4 and 5, subject to the following condition. 1. Additional pedestrian connections shall be provided from buildings 1 and 9 to the sidewalk along the north side of Madison Street on the preliminary development plan. Staff also recommends the Planning Commission approve case PP-1706, a preliminary plat for Bethel Estates Phase 4 and 5, parcel ID CF221423-4050.
Great, thank you, Michelle. With that portion of the staff presentation, we will now open the public hearing. Those wishing to speak on this item, please approach the podium, state your name and address for the public record. If the applicant happens to be here with us, this would be a great time for the applicant to approach the podium, speak. Please state your name and address for the public record.
Hello, my name is Aaron Gaspers. I'm with CFS Engineers, 2121 Moody Road, Lawrence, Kansas. And I think Michelle did a great job covering everything. I'll just add that we don't have a problem meeting that condition. We'll get those sidewalks addressed and taken care of. Other than that, I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
This is Nathan Rochelle, 352 West Madison Street. I guess my primary concern with the development of that property is Madison Street is already a very busy street. I mean, I personally have had my mailbox taken out 3 separate times, mostly by high school kids, but it is a very busy and heavily trafficked area. The concern that I have is just introducing additional traffic to that area with a high density housing unit like this. And I guess the question is if that has been looked at, if there's going to be additional turn lanes, additional means to get traffic through the area, because it already is, like I said, pretty busy, especially in the morning and afternoon times.
Great, thank you for your
Thank you.
comment.
Hello, Garrett Crane, 510 North Oak Street. My concern is also traffic, living on Oak Street. It looks like now it's going to come on Madison. That street's really not built for a lot of traffic to go through. My wife and I lived here a year and a half, want to stay there, have a nice community, so we prefer residential, just growing up makes our home.
Great, thank you.
Gwen Boone, 225 West Colleen Drive. My concern is with the RP3 designation. Does that say, because right now you're recommending it to be garden apartments. If that's not completely developed in garden apartments, does that mean that the duplexes and your row houses and all that is going to be allowed in after that point? I have no problem with the garden apartments for the senior citizens. But I do have problems with the other buildings being built behind me. And I am a senior citizen, so I understand their needs.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dave Rhodes with Bethel Estates of Gardner, 335 West Madison. If I could maybe just answer a couple of the concerns that have been addressed. We have found that our seniors are in the age of 70 to 75 years of age. The 27 houses that were proposed in the preliminary plat back in 2005 would have probably created more traffic than our seniors. Our seniors are not that mobile, and they reside in that apartment most of the time. The other concern, I think, is that we fully intend to build the sixplex units that you see on the south side of the street and not change our overall plan. If you all have any questions, I'm available.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Rhodes, I do have a question while we have you at the phone, just to follow up on that. Essentially, understanding this still has to go through the governing body and such.
Correct.
With approval, you're at a point where you're ready to begin construction on the first phase of the plan?
What we would do is hopefully start in February or March of next year and be
Weather.
completed of June of the following year.
Of June of 19 would be your completion target?
Yes.
Okay. But everything's in place after the winter months to begin construction on?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Lynette Wishart, 160 West Lanesfield Street, and I live at the end of that dead-end street that was on your map. I think he took that from my yard, one of those pictures, because I asked him that day. It's really a concern, but it's also a question. And Lanesfield Street right now, my house included, it has a ton of really small children. And so my question and my concern would be, with all of the construction traffic, how are we going to address the children that often play in the street? Because we have some real little kids on that horseshoe right there. Thank you.
Understood, noted, thank you.
On the map that we're looking at, where's Lanesfield Street?
It's off on the east, right? You can probably put the pointer on the right-hand side. I think you can kind of see that WL.
Okay.
Am I right on that? Yeah, that's a pretty, yeah, right there.
Where the red arrow is on this graphic is Lanesfield.
But with the proposed plan,
It looks like it's a.
it doesn't, it maintains a dead end,
Dead
correct?
ends.
That's
Okay.
correct.
So Lynette, does that answer your question in that regard, since the plan is to maintain a dead end?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but still noted for the record, I think that was a good comment to make. Thank you. Anybody else?
I
Yeah.
guess if it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't mean to be a pester.
No, you're
but,
fine. Go ahead.
I do, so a couple of additional concerns. I guess I didn't really speak the first time. The first one is really what it does to the R1 zoned single-family homes and the value associated with those. Especially in my case, I'll be directly abutting this development. In general, I would agree the traffic isn't horrible from the senior citizen community. However, there's a lot of EMS and ambulance and things like that that definitely do present a disturbance to the area. My other concern is, I know when Bethel Estates developed the area to the east, I live just at the west end of this parcel they're proposing to develop, but that area was trashed. I constantly picked up trash out of my yard from that construction, and with it being that much closer, I can only imagine it's going to be that much worse. And I'm sure they did their best to control it, but it was really horrendous. That lot looked very bad, lots of construction debris. They dumped a lot of the spoils or excess soils from the foundations and everything they dug to the east. And really, that area did not look very good for the better part of 18 months. And if they're actually going to develop that area, what are they doing with the spoils? Where's it going? How's the drainage in the area going to be affected? I know they were out there doing geotechnical investigations the last couple months because they were poking holes in my yard. But it is high clay soil content. I get water running down my yard. It flows back to the cul-de-sac to the north. And with this much paved area, I guess I'd be concerned about where that drainage is going. Are they do on-site retention basins? Are they adding additional or storm sewer connections? Things like that. But again, the construction debris from stuff 2 blocks away was horrendous. And I'm honestly quite concerned about the state of my yard when they build this thing, or if they build this thing. And I guess that's just my comment.
Thank you. It's good to note for public record because that's why we have these public hearings to hear the comments and thoughts that you as the citizens have. So thank you.
Lynette Wishart again. I just wanted to tag along on the back of that because Lanesfield Street has horrible drainage. If we have a flash flood type storm, the water is really rushing across that street down to the the creek. And so the drainage right now through there is horrible. I think that has been addressed to this body before in past years. So that definitely needs to be fixed. I know it washes out my neighbor's yard. There's water that washes through my backyard. And I know that before I've lived in my house 2.5 years. Before I bought the house, the basement had flooded due to those water issues, and there was an extra sump pump that was added as a result, and new grading, so it rushes through my backyard now. So I think the water flow in that area needs to be looked at, maybe reevaluated. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just quickly address the stormwater issue on
Please.
this. We are proposing a detention pond, which is on the east side of this property. So that detention pond is designed to release no more water in proposed conditions as in existing conditions. So there's not going to be an increase of stormwater coming off this property due to this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason Ledbetter, 520 North Oak. I have a little bit of concern with the traffic with Oak being connected. Right now, there's enough traffic that does come up Colleen Court. They like to not stop at the Oak stop sign and turn right across in front of my house. I can see, of course, with Oak being connected, that is going to increase drastically. A lot of traffic coming through there. The other is if it does go into the RP3 with senior living, I don't personally have a big problem with that. If that could somehow be noted or documented to stay senior living, and it has to go that way only. Again, we just don't want to see strip homes, big apartments, or anything like that going into that location. Property values might not be good then. I know the bunch of us through our area, we like to keep our yards up, our houses nice, and keep things looking good, and we want to keep that area nice.
Absolutely.
We enjoy it, we like it. I've been there for 17 years, and I hope it stays nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others wishing to comment on this item? If we don't have any others wanting to speak, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to close the public hearing made by Freeman with a second by Austin. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Okay, this is Planning Commission discussion. We're talking about items A and B. Questions, comments from the commissioners. I think we had great feedback and input from our citizens this evening, so that was awesome to hear. Very well noted on the traffic concerns, development staying as, a planned senior housing, and the water retention drainage issue. What other questions, comments does the commission have? And I can start down here on my left with Tim if you want to
Sure.
start off.
All right, question for staff. Is there any plans on Madison to add a turn lane?
Madison is currently a 3-lane Collector Street at this time with this, it's a two lanes going a single, or one lane going a single way, and then there's a center turn lane all the way down Madison. So there is no,
So that's a non-issue.
that's correct.
Thank you.
Anything else to add, Tim?
Yeah, just another question. So am I correct in saying that the proposal does not meet code because it falls short of the active open space?
Yeah, it doesn't meet the 10% active open space. However, because this is a planned district, there can be some fluctuation tied to the planned district to reduce the amount of active open space. That discretion is given to the Planning Commission.
There were some comments brought up about trash and the spoils and all that. Can you, for the benefit of everybody here, kind of walk through what the guidelines and standards are the city has for that?
Usually in the course of construction, the requirements are more concerned with making sure the erosion controls are in place. We do try and work with the contractors to maintain the area as clean as possible, and they usually do a pretty good job, but on high wind days you can't have issues, but we usually ask them to walk the neighborhood to pick it up. Spoils, dirt removal, as far as cuts and fills are concerned, we haven't seen the site plan review at this point in time, but I would assume that any excess soils would have to leave the site and would be taken elsewhere. This is a finished up part of a site development, so when dirt was brought to this, when they built across the street, it was a temporary storage issue until such time as this is developed. Now that it's being developed, those soils, if there are excess soils, would be taken from the site to an appropriate location.
So if a citizen had a concern that the trash is not being picked up, spoils are not being dispersed appropriately, you know, whatever the rules are, what would be their course of action?
Well, depending on what it was, but if it was a construction issue, normally, if it's something that's in the infrastructure area, our Public Works Department would address it. If it's something that is going on with the construction of the buildings, our department through codes would take care of it, or it might necessarily be something that would shift over to Enforcement Codes Division out of the Police Department. So if we had a customer complaint, so to speak, it could either come into our department or to the police department, and then it would be addressed. They would be contacted, or if it's an anonymous complaint, we would investigate it and try and rectify the issue.
I have no other questions at this time.
Okay. Brad?
I guess my thought, or shoot, I don't know. I guess what's the reasoning why the active open area can't be met? It's really close. And I guess I don't want to necessarily get in the habit of saying, well, it's really close, so that's okay.
A sufficient amount of the site is taken up by building footprint, private drive, the small parking lots. And so what the applicant has tried to do is provide a circular loop around the site for pedestrian movement. Staff has disagrees with some of those locations that would qualify for active open space because those connections are already needed from the parking lot to the front of the building, which they were including in their active pedestrian loop. The applicant has also provided between buildings 9 and 10, which is adjacent to North Oak, just on the east side, a large area of over 3,000 square feet, which is going to be sitting area, enhanced landscaping to foster social interaction for the senior residents. Now, so if you look at the slide in front of you, you can see there's parts of the dashed line that staff has not highlighted, those were the areas that staff did not feel really complied with that active open space requirement. Now, if you include all the dashed area, they did comply with that.
And and I apologize for not looking this up beforehand, but is that clearly defined in, or where we define active open space, that it can't be a sidewalk that was already going to be there?
It's the staff's opinion, doesn't really meet that
Doesn't meet what though?
doesn't meet that active open space to provide the constant the constant movement, the activity.
You-
And it's not defined in what specifically is active open space.
Okay. I guess if we're going to try to define on plans what is and isn't active open space, then we probably ought to add a definition to our standards. Because if the intent is to have areas where you can walk and move and exercise and all that, I don't see any difference between the two different parts of the sidewalk. So maybe that's something we need to consider amending in the code down the line. The other question I had for staff, I guess, is there any concern with the 3,000 square foot open area being in a future development phase that may or may not be built? Or is that just something we consider when a revised development plan for those areas would come back to us?
It would be considered, since this is at the preliminary plan phase, we're taking the entire 7+ acres overall. Gathering area will be considered at the next phase on lots 2 and 3 when they come in for a final development plan.
Okay.
Any other questions, Brad?
I think that the actual details on the pedestrian island would come later on in the process, I assume, and how they transition from having the center chicken lane to having the pedestrian island that you can't drive through in that process. So that wouldn't be at this stage, correct?
They would include that in their public improvement plan with Public Works to review. There's no need. Public Works had taken a look at that crossing with the pedestrian refuge island, and that area, that turn lane's is not being utilized, although it's there. So they felt that that was a good location to place the pedestrian crossing with the refuge island. It's within a straight right of way or with a clear line of sight, so it's not close to any of the curves on Madison. And so that would actually come with the public improvement plans.
Okay. That's all I can think of at the moment.
Questions, okay. Tori?
So on the active open space, you said that if we use their plan as is, it was over the 10%. Do you know what the percent was or is if we use their plan? Just curious. I didn't hear a number.
Close to 12.
So about 11.9%.
Okay. That's about all I had. Thanks.
Okay. Heath?
I do have a couple questions just based off some of the feedback that we got here this evening. The first one is for Ryan. First of all, when I asked this question, Mr. Rhodes has obviously been here several times, and so as I ask these are just questions to follow up. The development thus far has gone very well, and I don't know as a city we've had any difficulties working with Mr. Rhodes at Bethel Estates. I think it's gone very well, and I walk by there often. It's a great little community, and I have no problems with moving on there. But Ryan, is there a way as a commission that we can do a condition of the zoning change to be for the proposed plat? so that if it were to not come to fruition, something changes, Mr. Rhodes isn't able to move forward with the expected development, he needs to come and review for a rezone and to continue the rezoning so that it doesn't turn into a row house development that we might want to look at in a different fashion. Because tonight we're looking at it as a rezone for these apartments, which I expect to come to fruition, but there is the what if. And is there a case where we can put in what if scenario in what we propose?
Yeah, and staff, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but this is a planned district, and so because it's a planned district, he has to build this specific plan.
Okay.
And if he doesn't build this specific plan, he would have to come back for plan review and have that plan review approved. Now, the underlying zoning is there.
Right.
But, you know, and so that would be the RP3, although if he doesn't bring forward a planned district revised plan that meets with this commission's approval, then he wouldn't get approved.
Right, but
And that's within your discretion. I mean, there are standards in the code. I don't have them at my fingertips right now on plan review.
But as a commission, our hands will be slightly tied as long as it met the criteria of an RP3 district. It may not match what we're expecting now, but if we approve it to a zone of RP3, plans change, then, you know, theoretically, we're making sure that it meets the standards of our code. And if it matches those, then it could change radically from where we stand now. Is that correct, or am I misinterpreting that?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you that as a practical matter, almost universally when people do plan districts, and unless it's a minor deviation, if you are substantially changing what you're doing in that plan district, and you get denied, I mean, they may try to bring a legal challenge. A great deal of discretion is given to this body by any court that might be reviewing it. In fact, it's an abuse of discretion standard, and so you really have a great deal of leeway, and he is strongly incentivized to perform pursuant to this plan.
Okay. Great. Then the other thing I wanted to follow up on was the traffic, couple of traffic questions. There will be a higher density there, but I think Mr. Rhodes discussed that. You're probably right. It would bring less cars than if it were single-family development in that area. I happen to live just on the north side of this and probably disagree with Mr. Ledbetter a little bit about the connection of Oak Street because that is a long island that has no access off of Madison between Center and this one over on the west side. So I actually think this will be good for those communities, not only this one here, but the ones that are directly north of that. I find to be a benefit to that. And then the last thing was what I just said. That was my last thing. So those are my two pieces. I understand Ms. Boone's concerns for what happens if, but I think there's a great deal of comfort in this particular developer and its history in the city. And like Ryan said, we're passing this with the understanding that this will be the plan, and if not, then we'll absolutely have to look at that again, and it's not something that can be ramrodded through without going through all the proper channels. So hopefully there's a little peace of mind in that, although it can't be 100% certainty.
That it?
That's all I have.
Okay. All right, I think.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a question?
Oh, no, that's why I let you guys go first and answers my questions, so.
This is for city staff, and I know, Michelle, you've not been here for very long, so you may not be able to answer this, but prior to 2005, that was agriculture. It was farming. 2005, it was platted, or city wishes for it to be 27 single-family homes. So between 05 and 17, did we not have any interest to build single-family homes in the city at that location?
The property is under the control of the property owner, and so if he decides not to build single-family homes, it's just going to remain vacant property. The city doesn't tell people what to do as far as when they want to build something. It's when they bring it to us for review that it becomes subject to the review of the body. So, yes, and we have built a lot of single-family homes in the last 5 years, but this property is under the control of the property owner who's decided at this point in time it's time to develop it.
It just seems to me for continuity, you've got single-family homes to the north, east, and west, that we would want to continue that. Obviously, you all disagree because you want to continue your construction. And
The only thing I'll say to that is the other side of Bethel has single family on all sides of it as well. So it does continue in the same fashion. It's not as though this is an island on its own.
Right. That's true. Yeah, do you have anything else to add?
well,
Go ahead.
I live at 235 West Colleen Drive, and I feel like I have a conflict of interest with this particular proposal. And it's partly financial, because I think there's a potential devaluation of my home. And as a result, I will abstain from the vote.
Okay. Okay, I don't have anything else to add. I appreciate the commission's questions. I think we've done a good job of addressing for the record our citizens' concerns. So we've got this particular chunk. We've got 2 actions to take. So if we don't have other questions or discussion, I think we're good. I'll entertain a motion on item number 2A.
After review of the staff report dated October 24th, 2017, and the preliminary development plan dated October 11th, 2017, for cases Z1701, a rezoning from R1, Single Family Residential District, to RP3, Planned Garden Apartment District, and PDP 1702, a preliminary development plan for Bethel Estates Phase 4 and 5, parcel ID CF221423-4050, located north of Madison Street and west of Oak Street. The Planning Commission recommends approval of said request and forwards it to the governing body, subject to the following condition. Condition number 1, additional pedestrian connections shall be provided from buildings 1 and 2 to the sidewalk along the north side of Madison Street on the preliminary development plan.
You want to amend that to be 1 and 9?
Yes, I'd like to amend item number 1 to be buildings 1 and 9, please.
Second.
We have a motion made by Freeman and a second by Roberts that after review of staff report dated October 24, 2017, and the preliminary development plan dated October 11, 2017, for cases Z-17-01, a rezoning from R1 Single Family Residential District to RP3 Planned Garden Apartment District, and PDP-17-02, a preliminary development plan for Bethel Estates Phase 4 and 5, parcel ID CF221423-4050, located north of Madison Street and west of Oak Street. The Planning Commission recommends approval of said request and forwards it to the governing body, subject to the following condition as amended. Item number 1, additional pedestrian connections shall be provided from buildings 1 and 9 to the sidewalk along the north side of Madison Street on the preliminary development plan. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries with 4 in favor, 0 nay, and 1 abstention. Okay, so now, right, we need to take action on item 2B, correct?
That's correct, on the
Okay,
preliminary
great.
plat.
Okay, so then let's take action now on item then 2B, the preliminary plat that Michelle did present. If we don't have any questions, I would entertain a motion on item 2B.
After review of the staff report dated October 24th, 2017, and the preliminary plat dated October 11th, 2017, for case PP-17-06 for Bethel Estates Phases 4 and 5, parcel ID CF221423-4050, located north of Madison Street and west of Oak Street. The Planning Commission recommends approval of said request.
Second.
We have a motion made by Roberts with a second by Freeman that after review of the staff report dated October 24, 2017, and the preliminary plat dated October 11, 2017, for case PP-17-06 for Bethel Estates Phase 4 and 5, parcel ID CF221423-4050, located north of Madison Street and west of Oak Street. The Planning Commission recommends approval of said request. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries with 4 in favor, no opposed, and 1 abstention. Okay, we'll continue on with the next chunk of item 2. We'll hear item 2C, FP-17-05. Consider a final plat for Bethel Estates of Gardner Number 4, containing 5.25 acres for multifamily development. And we'll also hear item 2D, FDP-17-03. Consider a final development plan for Phase 4, eastern portion of Bethel Estates for Gardner for Garden Apartments. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Ms. Chairman. This next part will go pretty quick. So this next part is going to be discussing the final development plan and final plat. That's also going to be considered for this evening. So the final development plan and final plat is only for Lot 1, which is that eastern part of the development, and for the continuation of Oak Street. So the plan and the plat is for Lot 1 and for 8 buildings on 5.25 acres, the completion of Oak Street and the internal drives and parking, the detention basin, and a portion of the active open space. So you can see here that the plan that they are showing here does not deviate from what they showed from the preliminary plan that we talked about here just a little bit ago. So you can see how Oak Street will be continued from the north property line at Fountain Gate down to Madison Street, and then it's not included in the picture, but it'll actually connect and be right across from the entrance into Bethel Estates on the south side of Madison. They are including internal drives, which will be kind of a circular internal drive. There are no additional connections proposed onto Madison Street. There are 8 buildings, each building with 6 units. Then the detention basin that is on the east side of the property, and then part of that pedestrian loop that we talked about. So the buildings are proposed to be a single-story building, and they're going to be constructed out of a combination of brick and vinyl siding with wood shutters. You'll notice that the roof line is a sloping roof line, which provide a more traditional single-family residential appearance. So you're going to see on this slide in front of you here, on the top graphic is a clip from the plan to show what they are proposing. So you can see there's a brick base, there's brick structure, there's brick that goes all the way from the ground up to the roof. You can see the vinyl siding, the wood, and the shutters, and the composite shingles. The picture on the bottom is a photo of a current 6-unit at Bethel Estates on the south side. So you're going to see it's going to be very similar to what they are proposing. So we have a cohesive, homogeneous development. The final plat for this project includes all of platting of Lot 1 and dedicating the right-of-way for Oak Street. The plat will be required to be forwarded to the governing body to accept the easements and the right-of-way dedication. And also, at the time the final plat is right before it's to be recorded, the applicant will be required to pay an excise tax of $43,738.80, and that has stipulated as such. So again, we're going to have 2 separate motions. We're going to have a motion specifically for the final plan and then one for the final plat. So staff is recommending the Planning Commission approve case FDP 1703, a final development plan for Bethel Estates Phase 4, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, the rezoning Z 1701 and preliminary development plan PDP 1702 shall be approved prior to the issuance of a building permit. And number 2, the plan shall be revised to provide pedestrian connections from buildings 1 and 9 to the sidewalk along the north side of Madison Street, as stipulated in the preliminary development plan, case PDP 1702. Additionally, staff is recommending the Planning Commission forward a recommendation of approval to the governing body of case FP-1705, a final plat for Bethel Estates of Gardner Number 4, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, The preliminary plat 1706 shall be approved prior to the release of the final plat FP 1705 for recording. Number 2, prior to the recording of the final plat, an excise tax in the amount of $43,738.80 shall be paid to the city. And number 3, the construction plans for any utilities, infrastructure, and public facilities shall meet all technical specifications, and public improvement plans shall be submitted and approved prior to the release of the plat for recording. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Michelle. Commissioners, any questions on the 2 items, C and D, for staff? We don't have any questions? Oh, go ahead, Brad.
Just trying to see how it was written. On the condition, recommended conditions, it would just be building 1, correct? Since building 9 is not within this development plan?
Yeah, so it would be, I believe that would be the same correction we had to make last time. So the amendment, building 1 and 9, I believe.
But
Is that correct?
Building 9 is
But
not in
nine's
this
not on the-
development plan.
Oh.
There's only 8.
That actually would be correct. We would, when the next phase came in, we would make sure we continued that stipulation for building 9, so we had that pedestrian
Okay, so it would
connection.
carry from both
Correct, so
phases.
Commissioner Austin is correct.
Okay. No other questions? No questions over here, Tori Heath? No. Okay. If we don't have any questions, I'd entertain a motion on item 2C.
After review of the staff report dated October 24th, 2017, and the final development plan dated October 11th, 2017, for case FDP 1703, Bethel Estates Phase 4, parcel ID CF221423-4050, located north of Madison Street and west of Oak Street, with the following conditions. Item 1, rezoning Z1701 and preliminary development plan PDP 1702 shall be approved prior to the issuance of a building permit. And item 2, the plan shall be revised to provide pedestrian connections from buildings 1 to the sidewalk along the north side of Madison Street as stipulated in the preliminary development plan case PDP 1702.
Second.
We have a motion made by Freeman with a second by Roberts that after review of the staff report dated October 24, 2017, and the final development plan dated October 11, 2017, for case FDP-17-03, Bethel Estates Phase 4, parcel ID CF221423-4050, located north of Madison Street and west of Oak Street. To include the condition item number 1, rezoning Z-17-01 and preliminary development plan PDP-17-02 shall be approved prior to the issuance of a building permit. And item number 2, the plan shall be revised to provide pedestrian connections from building 1 to the sidewalk along the north side of Madison Street as stipulated in the preliminary development plan case PDP-17-02. Grief. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries with 4 in favor, no opposed, and 1 abstention. Okay, good grief. Item 2D. If we don't have questions or comments, entertain a motion on this item.
Go ahead.
After review of the staff report dated October 24th, 2017, and the final plat dated October 11th, 2017, for case FP-17-05 for Bethel Estates of Gardner number 4, parcel ID CF221423-4050, located north of Madison Street and west of Oak Street. The Planning Commission recommends approval of said request and forwards it to the governing body, subject to the following conditions. Can I just say 1 through 3, or do we have to read them every
No,
single
you
time?
can say 1 through 3.
Okay.
That's perfectly fine.
Subject to the following conditions, 1 through 3.
Second.
We have a motion made by Roberts with a second by Austin that after review of the staff report dated October 24, 2017, and the final plat dated October 11, 2017 for case FP-17-05 for Bethel Estates of Gardner Number 4, parcel ID CF 221423-4050, located north of Madison Street and west of Oak Street. The Planning Commission recommends approval of said request and forwards this to the governing body, subject to the following conditions, items 1 through 3. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries with 4 in favor, 0 nay, and 1 abstention. That wraps up our regular agenda. The item number 3, text amendments, will be deferred to November 28th meeting. So do we have anything from staff this evening before we conclude tonight?
No, I'd just like to thank everyone who came to the meeting to be engaged in the process, and to you all for working through all these details.
Completely agree with that. We do appreciate the public input. If we don't have any other comments from staff or anything from the commission, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn made by Freeman with a second by Austin. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries with all in favor, and meeting is adjourned.